and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back for another episode of the TWC Show. It is myself, it is Danial from the Dropkick Podcast, and we got a very special guest today. One of the Clubhouse members, one of the Discord members, Pro Wrestling Anonymous own. One of our Patreons is finally on the show. We are none other than Meka. What is going on? How are you? I've wanted you on here for a while. I've wanted you to do like 1 minute rants for this show. We haven't got there yet, though, but now you're on.
We're here now, though, and it won't be the last. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We just got out of talking about a little bit of SmackDown and whatnot, but as we were watching SmackDown, there was a whole bunch of releases. So we're going to talk about that. I have you on here now, and I wanted you to come on here and give us your thoughts about so I just got hit up by Chalkline about that new Sasha Banks sequin jacket. I just got the email and I looked at it and I'm very happy because Sasha Banks is back, the GOAT, the blueprint, the standard, the boss. The jacket is coming, hopefully, guys. But that being said, we'll talk about SmackDown in a bit. Welcome to the TWC Show, Meka, where Justin's all over the place. I've always wanted you to come on here to give us your real, honest thoughts about Ember Moon, but you've never come on here to give us those. So before we get into the releases and the sad news and all that other fun stuff, please let the people know how you feel about Ember Moon.
Oh, you are going to have the people coming for me my first time on here.
People like to come.
Okay.
You're running the TWC Show in prime heel Justin era. This is what we get.
Okay, I am a chaotic neutral. I'm a tweener. I'm neither here nor face, but this may be unpopular. Ember is valuable in her veteran status, I think, but she is very injury prone. And also her gimmick just doesn't go over. We don't know who you are. We don't know what you're supposed to be. Half of the time it's very poorly executed, poorly put together. You know, the outfits are poorly fitting. The hair is all over the place. The aesthetic just isn't doing what you would hope it would. The sad thing is you had a rookie come in and tag with you, Shotzi, and do your gimmick better than you, and we don't even know what the gimmick was. And now you're by yourself and still just looking lost, looking aimless, still no guidance, still no explanation. I don't know if she's gone back to the tail. I don't know what's happening here. She's just kind of here. Do not get me started on the racist husband of hers, and the whole King of the Black Women thing.
And the reason I wanted you to do the Ember thing is I want the people listening to realize that Meka is very vocal about her opinion. She has opinions. She ain't hiding shit from you guys. That's how she feels, and that's why I wanted her on the show real bad. But I want you to talk about the racist husband thing for a second, only because I never knew about it until you told me.
Oh,
yeah, I never knew that either.
Like, there's a whole bunch of people out in the world that has no idea about it. And I'm not throw Ember under the bus or anything like that. It's not that, but I just thought it was fascinating.
I think it was swept under the rug very well when things happened. It kind of happened and then it was like, boom, gone, right? I'm trying to get the man's name again. What is his name? Matthew Palmer. So he had a gimmick, I say that loosely, called King of the Black Women. And he released a shirt that literally had a Tarzan-like man with a woman slung over the shoulder. And it said King of the Black Women on the shirt. Now, I understand some of y'all might be like, what's the problem with that? Ember's Black, her husband's not. He's definitely not a person of color at all. He came under a lot of scrutiny about it, and his response was, the gimmick is racist. It's supposed to be offensive. It didn't go over well. The t-shirts didn't sell well. Gimmick just kind of faded to black. Ember herself was actually asked to respond to all of this, and she said nothing. She had no opinion. She had no defense. She had nothing. She was just like, And it's like, okay, I'm going to need you to do better when your husband is doing racist stuff. So really icky. And to me, you really didn't come back from that on top of your own gimmick being, for lack of a better term, half-ass. We really don't know what we get out of you. So it just kind of is a lot of meh for me with Ember
I will
Moon.
really agree about the gimmick thing. That's my biggest thing with Ember was always I never understood what her character was. Is she pure? Is she? I never really understood what her character was. I just found that whole thing fascinating. I didn't know about the whole King of the Black Woman thing. I wanted you to share that with us. And for those of you, I get a lot of this information from our family through Pro Wrestling Anonymous, guys. We have a Discord. If you guys are interested in joining it, hit one of us up and we will talk to you about it. Meka is one of the people in charge of that Discord. We keep up with all the wrestling. We're always talking constantly. It's translated over into many other groups, including on Clubhouse, where we do watch alongs most of the time and whatnot. And just anytime news breaks, we usually start rooms and we all talk about it, guys. Meka's like, honestly, I'm one of the head of the table over there. So
just the regular person, guys.
And we get to learn stuff like that because I've never heard of that whole situation about the King of the Black Women.
Yeah.
And a little talking about things that are a little, touchy and a little, off guard. We had a situation this past week with Max Caster of the Acclaim. I thought this would be perfect time to talk about that before we get to the releases.
Perfect segue. Okay.
Daniel, did you watch that rap?
Yeah, I caught it on Twitter, but it was very I don't know how they got away with that. That was very
So this is the thing, right? I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. I don't know how they got away with it either. It was completely inappropriate. Do I think it might have flown and they could have got away with it, say in 2003? I kind of think you could have.
100%.
Because times have changed and it's very sensitive. Now, for those that don't know, there was 3 lines in the rap that really stood out. There was one made about Simone Biles and her mental illness, which I want something I didn't know as well, but Simone Biles is an Olympian who decided to withdraw from the Olympics due to mental illness, which is a very serious thing. And he used that in part of his rap. He referred to the Duke lacrosse team, saying that he was going to make the Seidels his bitch, just like Duke lacrosse. That was a rape case in, I believe, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
That they didn't get charged for rape or nothing, but it's still a very controversial, up in the air, people don't know who to believe subject, regardless of what the verdict was. And those are the 2 bad jokes. And last but not least, he made a Julia Hart vagina joke, which was it's still bad, but compared to
weird, but it's weird.
It was weird.
But the thing that makes it extremely weird, and I think all 3 of us can agree to this, I know Julia Hart's like 19, 18 years old, but she looks fucking 15. And that just makes
she looks like a kid.
If she was a more mature, like mid-20s woman, and he kind of made that joke at I don't know, a Britt Baker or something, like maybe they could brush off, but she looks like a kid, so it's even more uncomfortable.
Right.
How do you feel about that, Meka?
Just to go back really quick to the 3 lines, the Simone Biles thing. For those who do not know, her aunt died as soon as they got to Tokyo, unexpectedly.
Okay.
So that is why her mental health kind of took a dive. It was an aunt that she was close to, and she just got the news when she landed that she had passed. So that kind of, it would throw me off of my game as well, on top of the whole situation with them saying that they weren't going to score her properly because she's too good and performs too high quality moves that are too difficult too well, and so they weren't going to score her because they didn't want other athletes trying to do what she does and hurt themselves trying to get higher scores. So they said,
I didn't realize
that's Simone Biles. Yeah, so all of that was happening at the same time, right? To the Duke lacrosse thing, it's kind of a culture thing here in the U.S. where athletes don't always get punished for the things that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially athletes from prestigious universities, and Duke, everyone has heard of Duke, right? And the lacrosse team is one of the top ones in the nation. So the trial was very controversial. There were a lot of things covered up, a lot of things came out later, but essentially, long story short, for our Canadian or out of country people, there was a lady who was assaulted by 3 members of the team. They went to trial. They were acquitted. And like Justin said, we still don't know what to believe. My opinion is it was just icky. All three lines were just like, no, why are we doing this? And then it got to the Julia Hart thing. And I was like, that was cringe because she looks like a baby.
And that's
So
the
to
biggest
me,
thing about
that's like,
I feel like that joke could still fly because they didn't say the word, but there was like an innuendo. But
right.
the fact that she looks like a fucking child.
Yeah, she does.
Which kind of makes it a
does.
little bit more uncomfortable. And so basically they put it up, it aired live when they usually premiered and stuff. They took it down and they re-uploaded it with taking the rap out. Tony Khan went to Busted Open Radio and he said that he didn't know that happened and he wished he did. And now moving forward, he's going to take charge of editing both Dark and Elevation. He's usually always there for Dynamite, but he says usually when those are being edited, he's doing backstage promos, yada, yada, yada. You guys need more people on your team. You know what to find me. Because I would have told, and I've said this, and Daniel, you've been on the show, I've said this in the past when the whole Cody Rhodes promo thing happened. I'm like, did they not run this promo? Like, I understand everyone has the freedom to their promos, and there's a lot of creative freedom in AEW, and they're trusting the wrestlers to go out there and say things and cut their own promos. But I do think there are certain promos that need to be run by maybe a group of people or a team where you're like, hey, this is all fucking great. Maybe don't say that. Like,
right.
No, yeah, I agree 100%. I don't know who runs these promos by or who says like, yes, we'll let this air, but yeah, I don't know. But I think the company's still new. It's learning. Everyone kind of screws up, and it's good that Tony Khan he took actions into his own hands instead of like making an excuse or something. So I think
honestly, to once again play devil's advocate, there have been many things that have happened in the WWE in the past 30, 40 years that are very questionable from the 80s with, all the stuff they want to take off of Peacock. All that stuff was questionable, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that we've given WWE a lot of grace in their lifetime, a lot of grace in their lifetime. So I think AEW in their, fledgling time can be afforded some of that grace as well to see what they come up with.
If anything, that was, with the freedom they have, Max Caster. And like I said, I understand kind of where Max Caster's coming from because I went to Twitter after and I saw everybody being like, to be honest with you, just like with comedy, when it comes to rap, there are some things that, like, if you were in a battle rap, like there are things you're allowed to say that might offend people, but that's the way it is. That's just the culture. It's wrestling, though. At the end of the day, it's still wrestling. It's still catered to families and kids and adults and everybody. So it's not like the rap situation, or it's not like, whatever else I said 2 seconds ago. But comedy, yeah. Where like you can kind of filter, like, you're not going to let your little kid go listen to Bill Burr if Bill Burr is going to say some fucked up shit. You're not going to let your kid listen to certain rap music if like this rapper talks about or sings about some fucked up shit. But you're going to let your kid watch wrestling if that's what they do. And if they hear stuff like that, I can see where that could be a little bit of an issue, right? Because it's still in the...
And you also advertise yourself as the all-inclusive show, the show that everybody can come on, the safe show. So joking about things like mental health or, race or whatever, they're just it's kind of contradictory to who you say you want to be as a promotion. So just, like Daniel said, learning curve, and we'll see, how they bounce back. Because, that's what life's about. How you bounce back, not how you fell down. So we'll see.
Let's stick to AEW, and we'll get to the releases and SmackDown in a bit. But let's stick to AEW while we're on it, so we're not jumping around too much. And Daniel, I want to pick your brain on this one because I know you're really invested in this storyline particularly. Hangman Page is not the number one contender because he lost last week.
I have something to say
Christian
about
Cage is the number one contender now. Hangman got confronted by the Elite this week and beat down. He said he wanted to separate from the Dark Order to an extent. The Dark Order came up to kind of come save Hangman, but then said, no. He said he wants his space, let him have his space, and they allowed him to get beat down. I know you're a Hangman fan. I know you're on. Me and you are both on the whole. We want Hangman to beat Kenny. I think Meka, you're on that too. Like that's the match we want.
100%. Yeah.
How do you feel about it? Because I know you're the Hangman guy.
So, here's the thing. Like with these recent rumors of possibly CM Punk being signed and possibly Daniel Bryan being signed, I really hope it doesn't take away from Hangman's spot You know what I mean? Because here's the same situation. Like back in 2013, The Rock was coming back. Who did he want to face? The biggest name in wrestling at the time, CM Punk. So I don't want Hangman to lose his spot to a guy who's not even in his prime anymore. Like, I love Punk. Punk's the man. But, like, it's Hangman's time. It's time for these guys to really showcase what they're good at. And a guy like Hangman, let's just say when he's in his 40s, he can come back, be that nostalgia act, and embrace that. You know what I mean? So I think Hangman really needs the belt. And I love Christian, but again, like, he doesn't need the belt. He does, he's there to elevate guys like Jungle Boy, Sam Guevara, you name it, right? But
yeah. Do you think and this is kind of similar to what's happened with SmackDown with Finn and Roman and stuff too, because there's a mix-up of 3 guys.
Sure.
Do you think we get not Hangman, we get Christian versus Omega before All Out, or do we get Christian and Omega at All Out and then Hangman and Kenny at Full Gear, which is also not pushing it because, to your point, guys like CM Punk and Bryan might be showing up?
No, but they could do that. But, like, here's the thing. Like, Christian's not going to win the belt. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But
we can all agree there. That's not going to be the case.
I said this on your show, I think last month, whenever Christian made his AEW debut, I was like, the guy you should feud with and turn heel on is Jungle Boy, and that can really elevate him to that next level. You guys seen that match with Omega and Jungle Boy?
Yeah.
We all thought he was going to kick out, but he didn't, right? Out of that one wing angel. But, like, having Christian as a heel, like, it can really cement Jungle Boy's, like, legacy in a way. It can put him on the map, I guess.
I think Jungle Boy versus Christian and Omega versus Hangman on that card or All Out would be a lot better. And I think
that's what I'm saying. And I here's the thing: Hangman's the hottest thing going on in AEW right now.
For sure, what that pop he gets every time his music hits, it's real.
Hangman, Britt Baker. There's like a handful of people that you have on that show that you can rely on for a big pop, and you can rely on those wrestlers to send the fans home happy, right? It's like you either start or you finish the show, and I think Hangman has to win that belt. Like, it's a must need. You know what I mean?
I'm with you on that one as well. Meka,
and it would be I was gonna say it would be interesting to see Kenny Chase too.
Yeah,
I think it might give Kenny a little more because, like, for me, I'm not. Mm-hmm. I know they say he's the best wrestler in the past 20,000 years, but I'm just not on the Kenny Omega train. I appreciate what he does, but I think seeing him chase will give some of us that are on the fence about him a little more to kind of invest in or to see or something different. I think it could, 100%. Yeah.
The EVPs need to lose the belts.
Not that too, man. I feel like
the Bucks. I just want to say this. I love the Bucks. I'm a fan of the Bucks. I love everything the Bucks are doing. I really wish they weren't the tag champs. I wish they dropped them to Santana and Ortiz a month ago or whatever it was.
Agreed.
However it happened, whether it was an interference or something, and I wish FTR and Santana and Ortiz were fighting over the tag belts, as they should be.
Yeah, I know.
They don't need it, but neither do the Bucks. Like, even the Bucks versus John Moxley and Eddie Kingston never really needed the tag belts. They would have had it with or without them.
No, 100%.
Expected it to go either way more because the belts weren't on the line.
100%. But I think some wrestlers are just better chasing the belt, right? Like, I think Omega, like, some people are just entertaining being the guy or girl chasing the title.
Over and over again. I love Becky chasing the belt. I hated the whole
thing. 100%.
I love Miz chasing any belt. Miz chasing to me is like top tier Miz. Sammy chasing is like top. So it would give us a different perspective on Kenny that I think a lot of people would enjoy.
And to stay on top, even when Hangman wins it, I don't want Hangman to have a long reign. I want Hangman to win it. I want us to celebrate it. Then I want him to get screwed out of it.
Create some character,
like that's what I don't want Hangman to win it and hold it for you. I want Hangman to win it, and next they'll get screwed over by CM Punk coming there all joyous and turning heel on him.
I don't know. It's a possibility.
You know what I mean? And I want to go to you, Meka, for the next thing. There's two things we want to talk to you specifically about. But the first one is specifically to you, and the second one's for all three of us. So the first one is because I know you're a Red Velvet fan, and we're getting Red Velvet versus Britt Baker. I'm moved away from Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose. I'm over it. How do you feel having Red Velvet in this position? It's going to be on the first episode of Rampage next Friday. Were you excited, or were you expecting to see Red Velvet, or were you expecting someone else? Because it could have been like a Jade or someone too.
I think Red Velvet right now is the most viable option.
Mm-hmm.
Jade is great, but we've seen her wrestle once on TV. And it was a good look, but Jade is still very green.
Yeah.
The thing with her and Nyla has been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it was good to kind of step away from that. It's not quite time for Reba, not Rebel, to turn on her yet.
Yeah.
So, and I just don't think it's believable for like Bunny or Ty Conti or somebody like that to really be in that position right now. Because they have kind of some other cool things going on right now that I kind of like what they're doing. I like that all the storylines are not centered around the belt, like that there's other things happening, right? So I'm okay with Red Velvet. I think this should be, huh?
That's my question. Where does it go? If they do this on Rampage and Velvet loses like cleanly, I don't know who's next for Britt. Like I actually don't know.
I don't feel like this has to be a one match though. I don't feel like it has to be a one off.
If it ends clean, maybe, but if it doesn't end clean, then it won't be a one off. Does that make sense?
I feel like they should build a little bit. There's no reason why not to. Go back and forth a little bit. Build something there. Even if Red Velvet does lose, okay, let her chase her contendership again. Let her try to get back in, because Britt isn't wrestling a lot with the belt right now. She's cutting a lot of promos and, wearing red eyeshadow, but she's not really wrestling with the belt. So why not have Jade then fight her way back or interfere in promos or just kind of make it a thing for a little while until somebody viable like a Red Velvet, like a Jade or like who's this girl they're trying to push on us? Legit. So whoever they want to build up.
That was the match that happened. I'm like, what was the other women's match that happened the week?
Yeah, it was Legit and Bunny. Right.
Yeah,
but anyway, but yes, but let Red Velvet cause some trouble and try to get back there and let it be a build up. That's the thing about AEW. I call them all express wrestling sometimes because they do stuff so fast. A storyline will be over in like a week. It's like, okay, we did it. Bam, move. And it's like, let something breathe sometimes. Like, let it breathe, let it build, give us something to invest in. It was great when they did it with I call them the Pitifuls, the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. Them going back and forth all that time was great. Let it build, let it breathe, let it do something, and I think it'll give them all something to do.
They do that with some feuds though. They seem to not do that with the women that often because this Hangman thing's been going for a long time and almost seems like they're letting it breathe for too long. They're slowly building this stuff with Andrade and Pac and the Lucha Brothers. Like there's a lot of slow build stuff going on. Dynamite overall was a great show this week. If you guys didn't check it out, I know we just shat on one of the matches, which was the women's match, but overall the show was good. One last question.
Was not trying to. That was not on purpose.
One last question though about the women really quickly then is, do you find it a little bit of an issue that like Britt Baker's really over?
An issue?
Because because don't you want people to be cheering for Red Velvet? But I think a lot of people are going to probably want Red Velvet to lose.
I think the era of people choosing sides and being so distinctly one or the other has kind of passed. I think people are just going to like who they like. WWE is finding this issue now where they're cutting crowd noise and piping in boos because they cannot control who we like anymore. If I like Sasha as a heel because she's a heel right now, but she's over, she gets a cheer. So now, it's like, you can't control that anymore. So I think it's okay that she's over, and I think they should keep pushing her. Let her do it. She's the best thing, honestly, that they got right now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, so I want to go on my thing really quickly, and the thing that stood out to me the most on this show, and that was the debut of Malakai Black. I loved the look. I love him actually being presented the way he's meant to be presented. Anyone that's listened to this show since way back, since like Devin was the main co-host every week, I've been singing the praises of Aleister Black because even before he got signed to NXT, I discovered this dude on Progress. Shout out to Jordan Jomo for giving his login to the Pivot Share. And I became an Aleister Black fan. I became a Tommy Yen fan. He came to NXT, he had an amazing run. He went to the main roster, and it just did not happen. They brought him up there with Ricochet, did the tagging thing. It was like two odd people teaming with each other that made no sense, but whatever. They did the whole knock on my door thing. It didn't work out. This is Malakai Black. This is what he's supposed to be. And the way that he dominated Cody was exactly the way it's supposed to be. I think Cody's being written off TV for a couple of months. I don't think we're getting Malakai Black versus Cody till full gear. I could be wrong. We could get it all out, but I think it's to be until full gear. I don't know what Malakai has to do till then. Maybe attack all of Cody's family and friends because they're all there. I don't know, but I'm so happy with everything. I'm happy with the presentation. A little taken back, and I know this is a common opinion, that Malakai won, and then Cody cut a promo after.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It
retirement.
almost
It was a good
negated
promo.
his win.
It was a good promo. I'm not going to shit on the promo. It was actually a good promo. He talked about the EVPs infighting and stuff. He touched on things we thought about. It was really real, but like it almost felt like that was meant to happen off the air, like for the crowd that was there live, and not for the people on TV. Because I feel like we should have left with you getting squashed by Malakai, and then the show goes off the air. But instead, we had you cutting a promo. And don't get me wrong, Malakai came back and hit you with a crutch, but it didn't feel like it had the same effect.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It was very out of place, and I don't know why he started crying and that whole shtick. But I get it. It's Cody Rhodes, but I want to see how this plays out. I'm not gonna judge it right off one match or one segment, but I think this is a step in the right direction though. Like after the stuff with QT Marshall, and now he's shooting Malakai Black. Like,
no, for sure. But it's like nobody believes they're going to retire. You're 38 years old. I know you said you want to retire by 40. I don't believe it. I know you have opportunities outside of wrestling, whether it's movies, your reality show and Go Big Show and all that stuff. And I know he did make sense where he's like, we're no longer the alternative. We're the destination. And Vince on a media call conference call this week said that AEW doesn't consider them competition like WCW, but Cody went out of his way to be like, we are competition. And he does have a point. There's going to be a lot of people coming into this company.
Yeah.
Meaning that like they're going to need room, and Cody's been in a prominent spot since the beginning. So if they are going to bring these names in, like maybe I need to take a step back. It was very believable. Everything he said was believable. The issue is you did it after you just got squashed. If you came back next week or showed up on Rampage and you did this speech and then Malakai hit you again, cool, but you did it right after you got squashed, and that's what bothered me.
It gave very like indie show vibes, when you kind of like go to an indie show and then like Shane Taylor does it all the time. Shane Taylor is a whiz at killing somebody in the ring, like literally murdering somebody, then asking for the mic and like hyping them up and telling them how great they did, and and it's like it felt very intimate in that manner, but it felt very out of place. So I agree with that 110%. I do want to touch though, because for the TWC people that don't know, I'm an aesthetics person. So I love the visual of the stark contrast that's T, between Malakai Black and Cody Rhodes it's Malakai. Okay, let's make sure. The stark visual contrast, that to me, like the entrances, the colors, kind of just the effort that was placed on that also to me pushes like kind of the light versus dark, the kind of good versus evil, that they're trying to present. They did very well with that this week. And I was really frustrated that the crutch was like a child size crutch.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was the only one that caught that, but I was like, is this like a hornswoggle?
And also, where did it come from? Why was it there? If Malakai came back and kicked his head off again, that would have been more effective than him hitting him with a crutch. A
crutch that he didn't use because it was too small to use.
This is the input I would put in if I was there. I'm like, listen, okay, he can hit him with the crutch, but can he do that thing where he lifts the guy's head up with his foot and then kick him again? Because that would have been a great visual. You know what I mean?
Cool.
But that's just me. But now let's move into the very last thing I want to talk about when it comes to AEW this week, which was a great episode, guys. Go check it out. Meka, me and you, big WCW fans growing up. Daniel, I've got you on WCW like crazy this past 8-9 months. You've become a Nitro fan. That's all you ever want to watch these days. You love Alex Bray. You love Disco Inferno. You even sang that on the show one time. Juventud Guerrero came back to wrestle.
Juventud came back, man.
And listen, I know it wasn't as crisp as everyone expected. They're both.
I didn't hate it though.
I didn't hate it. The nostalgia in me loved it. Like that's a nostalgia act I enjoy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I think it was good, but I think personally, I think it went on a little too long. I think they went for 20 minutes, but I think if they just cut back on like 5 minutes or 3 minutes, it would have been good too. But I'm not complaining. I think seeing Juventud back in the ring doing what he, does best is cool. And he looked like he was in great shape. Like he looked like he wanted to be there. The crowd was with it. MJF was on commentary, and I think it's just so cool. It comes full circle, right? Like in '98, these guys are wrestling on TNT.
97, 98, and now
exactly.
2021 they're wrestling each other on TNT.
Yeah.
And I know that Shivani kept bringing up their match at Sturgis at Road Wild, but Chris Jericho's gone on record to say like one of his favorite matches in WCW was against Juventud at Slam 398, where it was Mask versus the title.
The title.
And that's where Juvi lost his mask, but Jericho's gone on record being like that's one of his favorite matches. And Juventud is one of his favorite opponents. And throughout the years, we've heard The Rock diss Jericho about Juventud Guerrero. We've heard him bring it up in that promo with MJF. Like, he is considered one of Jericho's greatest opponents of all time.
100%, man.
With Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio, WCW, at least in that period. And it was cool, man. I really enjoyed it. It came off like they were kind of trying to figure each other out after so many years at the beginning. But I feel like once they got into it, they kind of figured out the flow. It's just, I do think both of them are just generally a lot slower than they used to.
Yes. And I hope that it does spark some of the younger fans to go back and kind of watch some of where we came from, right? Because for a storyline to come full circle like that is not really common. So to see it happen in front of a new crop or new generation of fans, hopefully they were on the Googles and on the YouTube trying to pull those old matches to see like why we were so excited for it, why it felt so good, and why it had such a good reception. So I hope that it did have that effect, for them.
It really reminded me of the Kurt Angle Shawn Michaels feud, where Kurt was bringing a lot of Shawn Michaels past back. Sherry Martel, he brought Marty Jannetty back, and then Shawn Michaels and Marty had that one-off tag match again on Raw. And I was just like, if you knew, you knew, and you were with it, even though Marty was older. But those guys at that point could still both really go.
Right.
And that's what this felt like. You're bringing Juventud back, and I was like, this in this very moment of time, even if it's a one-off, it's cool. The next labor, the 5 labors or whatever they're called, is Jericho versus Wardlow. MJF's promo after everything was great. MJF as a special referee is a cool little cherry on top. How he's going to overcome the odds. We all know he's going to, hopefully.
Right.
I'm looking forward to see how that is. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about the releases really quickly. We have a whole ton of releases that took place while we were watching SmackDown today. I don't know if I'm going to make it to the gym. But let's talk about those releases really quickly. Some of them were shocking. Some of them were not so shocking, in my opinion. I don't like to see anybody get released. It's sad. It's unfortunate to see anyone lose their job. But, some were just shocking because they were involved in really major storylines. They're currently involved in things that are going on. And I'm going to go down the list. These all came from Fightful, a.k.a. Sean Ross Sapp's Twitter page. But we had Bobby Fish, former member of the Undisputed Era, kind of been feuding with the Diamond Mine and Roderick Strong as the weeks of NXT in the past few weeks. We had Bronson Reed, who just a month ago was the North American champion.
That one caught me off guard.
We had Mercedes Martinez, who just like a month ago was the number 1 contender for Raquel's women's championship. We had Jake Atlas, who's used prominently. We had Leon Ruff, who's used prominently and is also a former North American champion and was using a lot of storyline just in the past year. And then a bunch of people that haven't been used. So, never mind. And Tyler Rust, who is also part of the Diamond Mine. He was actually part of that group that just debuted. So that was a really interesting one as well. Then a lot of people that were on 205 Live or did stuff but weren't being used as often, or like for me, weren't as familiar, like Ari Sterling, Stefan Smith, who I believe is a referee, Zachariah Smith, Asher Hale, and Giant Zazier, who I have seen all like on TV, but a lot 205 Live, a lot of one-offs and stuff like that. And then obviously I forgot to mention Jake Atlas, who has been a prominent figure on NXT as well. Rumors are going around that this is to focus on younger talent, and they're going to change the NXT logo, and they're doing a whole rebrand of the show. I don't know if that's Vince coming to Triple H's territory to do so. It sucks. It's unfortunate. I wish I researched before we came on it, but we came on it right after SmackDown. I don't know how many releases this makes in total since the pandemic started, but it's a lot. How do you guys feel?
first off, the Bobby Fish one caught me super off guard. Like, here's the thing. Let me put it in perspective. Like, he is 44 years old. He, age, it sucks because, wrestling, like, it takes a toll on your body, it takes a toll on your mental health, and, like, doing this for a long period of time, like, it catches up to you. And he has kids, he has a family, and I get it. He wanted to do everything in the business. And looking back at his career, his prime was really in Ring of Honor till right when he split up with the Undisputed Era. And I think, like, I feel like he's one of Hunter's boys. And I say that because I know he really believed in the Undisputed Era, and hence why he brought back Samoa Joe. And I hope, he brings back Bobby Fish for a one-off for the main roster if Adam Cole stays, but we'll talk about that later. But
we're going to talk about that later because there's been running jokes that Adam Cole had this really important meeting prior to SmackDown with higher officials about re-signing.
Yeah, the joke was that he was in the office while it was happening, like pushing the pictures off the desk.
Like that. For Adam Cole went up, and this man's getting his own private jet and bus, and they had to release a whole bunch of talent. Like, that's the joke. Okay, because for those that don't know, Adam Cole's contract is coming up as well. There's rumors about Pete Dunne's as well, but Adam Cole's is coming up as well. And the story is, once again, we don't know anything for sure, but the story is that he's been kind of iffy about re-signing so quickly, and he's in a negotiation process with them to stay or leave. And it's very believable that he could leave because his girlfriend is in AEW. And I think he would and a lot of us, and especially in the clubhouse and in the Discord, we talked about, you know what? There's part of us that a lot of us feel like he would prosper a lot more in AEW than he would on the main roster in WWE. Size is a big role of it. I would have loved the Undisputed Era to show up on the main roster together again, even if they broke up on NXT. I thought them showing up there again together would have been epic.
It would have been so
Bobby
dope.
Fish is gone. Not saying they can't do it with the other three, but it seems like Roderick's tied up in this diamond mine thing, and I don't know, that I feel like that ship has sailed.
I think that for true fans of NXT, it's a very trying time for them because we're looking at Karrion and Finn Balor now on the main roster. We're looking at Shotzi and Tegan now on the main roster. We're looking at Toni Storm coming up on the main roster. And then we're looking, the main roster, because they're supposed to be the third brand, but we're not going to get into that conversation right now. And then on the back end, you have some of the major people that were holding NXT down now gone. So it's like, what are you doing with our baby? There are a lot of people who feel like NXT honestly is the better show. They feel like it's better than Raw. And they feel like it competes with SmackDown. They feel like it puts on amazing pay-per-views. And so to kind of
with a takeover.
So to turn it on its head kind of like this and have so much uncertainty, and then you're kind of like, well, who's left? What are they going to do? Right? Like, what's about to happen? I don't think that type of uncertainty needed to come right this second. I think we could have waited for that. I feel like it's shaking up a lot right now. And there were also rumors, and I'm just throwing this out there because it was tweeted by a Hispanic announcer in Spanish, and it was not deleted, but it's floating around Twitter that supposedly Naomi was released during taping. It hasn't been confirmed, and I hope it's not true. But it was tweeted in Spanish for some reason and kind of never just responded to. It was just kind of put out there. And so I think that's something to keep an eye on. I really hope it's not the truth. But she was quietly kind of shuffled over to SmackDown, and then we haven't seen her again. So I don't know. But yeah, the releases are tough. I wish everybody the best. I will go on record saying WWE is not the have all to end all. You don't get sent out to pasture when they let you go. There's life beyond WWE. Create that the way that you want it to be. If you love this, keep pushing. We're going to keep supporting y'all, and, just keep doing your thing, because I know it's hard.
And it's not just AEW, guys. There's talent that's been released that have been killing the independents and Impact and Ring of Honor and New Japan. The world's opening up. They can start going back there. And we've talked about this a ton. I know Meka agrees with me in this situation where I'm like, almost seems like right now, especially right now with this whole forbidden door open, every company outside of the WWE seems to be working with each other a little bit, because we see AEW stars in New Japan, we see New Japan stars in Impact, we see Impact stars in AEW. Like, it's just, there seems to be this synergy of unionship of working together outside of WWE. We see AEW stars working indie shows. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, and Impact stars working indie shows. JTG is our champion in Texas. We just had Moose here. Fuego del Sol was just here.
like
Like Friday.
Synergy of open contracts out there right now, where it's like there obviously are some talent that are locked down AEW, but I think that there is a negotiation space with AEW and Tony to be like, listen, I want to work here, but I also want to work in Japan. And I think a lot of people going to AEW want to work in Japan too. A lot of people. And that's why we see the Lance Archers and the John Moxleys and these people that are still working there. I know Aleister Black says he's wanted to work there. We know FTR said they've wanted to work there. We know that Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are going back there as soon as they can. There's this weird Switchblades and Impact. Like, this is everything outside of WWE seems to be working together.
No, 100%.
And I think that just opens up so many doors as well.
No, speaking of that,
where you get signed, because you might do a one-off in AEW, you might do a one-off in Impact. You don't know.
No, 100%. PWG just had a show and they had like Malakai on it. They had so many.
Black Dragon returned, for the independent fans that know who Black Dragon is, one of the owners and creators and founders of PWG. One of the indie legends. And exactly. Malakai was on there. This guy's already working independent shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think for those on Patreon, I blew a kiss on my TV because SmackDown restarted and Sasha Banks came out. But
Speaking of that,
let's talk about SmackDown. But actually, before we talk about SmackDown, I just want to touch on Raw because I feel like nothing happened on Raw. But two things: Goldberg's son is really a lot older. I don't know. I know it's been like 5-6 years, but that man, puberty hit that man hard. He had a growth spur. He's a whole new man. That's the same little kid.
Whoa! Really quick, guys.
Full-grown jock.
We just got another release.
Oh,
no way.
Who?
Desmond Troy was released.
All right. Let me look up who that is.
Yeah. It literally just popped up on my.
I wonder if there will be more.
And someone in the comments literally said, please make it stop.
Oh, yeah, no, he's been there for a while. I'm looking at him. He has been there for a while. I recognize his face. More releases to come, guys, and we might get more on the year. There's an exclusive. But, Goldberg's son, big dude. He's grown up. Second thing that is relevant that's happening on Raw is anything Charlotte Flair is doing. Her promo this week was fire. She looked great. She spoke nothing but the truth. Obviously, the angle is to continue this whole Nikki Cross Charlotte. Nikki Ash got the win. We'll see.
Wait, so I didn't catch Raw. Was it this week that Karrion fought Keith Lee, or was that 2 weeks ago?
Oh yeah,
Yes, he fought Keith Lee.
They had a rematch, and now Keith Lee won.
Keith Lee won. So now they're 1-1
and move forward with thinking that Karrion Kross is a threat to Samoa Joe, even though he's just taking L's on Raw against Keith Lee.
It's weird.
They fully ignore that anything's even happening with Raw and Karrion Kross on it.
And that's what I was going to say. The synergy between the two is just non-existent. The fans literally can be like, well, this really doesn't matter because it has nothing to do with the fact that he's now going to wrestle Samoa Joe. Like, no, there's no continuity here. It's just like, whatever.
And he feel naked without Scarlett. He cut this promo backstage with an hourglass.
Terrible.
And it was such an overly scripted promo, and it just was not good. And I'm Meka II, two of the biggest Macho Man Randy Savage fans in the world, in this bubble of wrestling. Me and Meka. I would always say this. I'm like, listen, Macho's Macho. He was great. He was charismatic as fuck. He could run by himself. But the package always felt more complete when he had a lady next to him. Well, obviously, Miss Elizabeth was the prime lady, but whether it was Sherry, whether it was Gorgeous George, Macho with a woman always worked out better for some reason. It just completed the package. Macho Man, beautiful woman.
100%. I agree.
Karrion Kross needs Scarlett. Something just feels weird without Scarlett.
If anyone ever questions, the purpose of a wonderful manager, watch Karrion with Scarlett and without. Even when she says nothing, she just enhances the whole situation for him.
Her presence as a whole, you know what I mean? Like, it's just I don't know.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
makes them seem more dominant.
Sorely missed.
Arm piece who's like she's dangerous too. And
Yes.
I know the story was we're gonna have him pick up L's until Scarlett came, then he started picking up W's. That was the whole storyline. But then Jeff Hardy got COVID, which led to them going with the Keith Lee Karrion Kross thing, where Karrion Kross beat Keith Lee, now Keith Lee beat Karrion Kross. I don't know. I'm gonna sit on it. I'm gonna wait and see where they go. It's just weird that they're pretending like none of this is happening on NXT. That's okay.
About talking about predicting things or pretending things, I should say. Like I don't know why they're piping in chants now or whatever.
They got so used to controlling the audience and the reactions that they can't let it go.
That's what I was so afraid of when we got crowds back. I'm like, they're gonna try putting this perspective on us, the crowd, and try to control us. And it's like, why would you do that? Let fans be who they are and embrace it. Like, I get sometimes the what chants can be annoying. Like tonight, I don't know why they did that, but it was like, these fans are paying their ticket.
Yeah, it's weird. But before we move to SmackDown, one last thing about NXT is I absolutely positively love the Dakota Kai video package about why she turned on Raquel.
We didn't talk
about it a ton last week. I know if Nikki was here, who was here last week, she'd be going off about it right now. That the way they explained the situation and why Dakota did it, and I should have been in the ring with Bianca and Rhea holding up the belts. I'm the one that brought you here. Yada, yada, yada. Like, it's believable because we went back and watched WrestleMania 11, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me Shawn Michaels Diesel vibes. Shawn brought Diesel in. Shawn made Diesel a star. He was there to protect Shawn. Diesel won the IC title. Diesel won the world title. Shawn was cool with it. Like, my boy's the world champion. I'm the IC champion. Shawn lost the IC belt. They lost the tag belts. And Shawn was like, wait a minute. I should be the world champion.
No, yeah. And I think here's the thing. Dakota doesn't need the belt to be relevant in a sense. She's already kind of people.
She's been able to stay relevant without it.
No, exactly. And that's not a bad thing. Like, some people do need the belt to, elevate themselves. And that's, it worked. It worked for CM Punk back in 08 somewhat, but it takes time to progress and build your character as a wrestler. And I think when Dakota Kai turned heel on Tegan Nox, I think it was at War Games, I popped. I love Dakota. I think she's great. I think just letting her do what she does and keeping her in the NXT bubble is really going to help her, because you don't want to rush her, going to the main roster right away. Let this marinate, let this sit, see what happens, see what doesn't work, and working with Hunter, I'm sure he's really hands-on with the talent. So
how do you feel about
it? I adored that. It got you invested. We were watching it all at the same time, and the room was quiet. Everybody was just in awe. She delivered. And that's what I like about Dakota. She was kind of chill, when she was playing. Like she said, she's nobody's sidekick, but when she was helping, but the passion that came forth, the clips that they chose, the language that they chose, her just sitting there in a room, flat foot delivering a promo was top tier for me. And I feel like, and I will die on this hill, main roster needs to source their talent from the PC and leave NXT alone. Dakota she's absolutely one of those people that doesn't need a belt. There's a couple that I can name. Miz never needs a title to me. He's always amazing, and that's coming from someone that's not a big Miz fan. He's relevant regardless. Dakota is just like that. She is relevant. If she is on the roster, she has something to say, and she matters. And so I think, like y'all said, that slow burn, let this build. Let her get there. And even if she doesn't win, let her keep doing this. Let her keep screwing over Raquel. Let her keep, causing trouble until she feels like she's satisfied. I feel like that would be a great place for her, and it would literally keep people's eyes on NXT, because they're like, what is Dakota going to do next to get her revenge, right? Mm-hmm. That's where we all are. We're all like, whoa, okay, so what's going to happen now? We're all tuned in. We're locked in. So I think that was one of the greatest things to happen on NXT this week.
No, I'm kind of over Raquel. I need Dakota with that belt personally. I'm over it. And there's so much talent. Like the fact that Io and the other girl whose name I can never remember, the tag champs, And then you got Candice and Indy and all these women there. Like, there's a lot of talent there.
Tony. Tony.
Oh, Trish Stratus look like girl.
No, what's her? Zoe Stark.
Zoe Stark. There you go.
Zoe. Yeah.
Let's talk about SmackDown.
Oh,
so obviously.
Let's talk about Bianca. No, I'm just playing. Okay.
No, that's what this is what argument's going to come in now, guys.
Oh, I'm ready. If I gotta choose Big Belt beat, I'm choosing. I'm gonna die on that hill, and it's all good.
Before we get to Bianca, first things first, you want to know why this week of wrestling was really good, guys? You want to know why this week of wrestling was tremendous? There was no John Cena. I couldn't see him. He did not show up on any show, not on Raw, not on Smack, and the rest of the dark match. Stay there. Stay there because you suck and you don't do anything different. And guess what? SmackDown was hella good tonight. And you want to know what was great about it? You weren't on it, sir. They had a great show without you. I felt the vibe between Finn and Roman. I wanted that. You could have built a star to Roman. Roman took out both Usos, jumped on him. Roman, Finn Balor. I get it. Cena's a draw. He's a marquee. But Cena's going out there doing interviews himself saying, you know what? I don't think they're ever going to make a new star unless they stop relying on old stars. Bro, you're the old star. They stop relying on you. And then you push, because if you didn't come back for this, you know, I had a month free, so I thought I'd come back to my family in the WWE. If you never came back, sir, this would have probably been Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns, sir.
I think I'm just here's the thing. I know you don't like Cena, but he's not going to win the belt. He's not
going to win. They're just wasting their time.
That's not believable. It's not going to happen.
They're wasting their time. I believed in more of Big E showing up in Paul Heyman's face, laughing like a maniac, which was the funniest shit.
Classic. I was crying. He was just being himself. It was great.
That gif of him having sex on the turnbuckle viral this week.
With the briefcase.
I have more faith in him winning the world title than John Cena at SummerSlam. So
100%. I feel like he might even cash in. I don't know why.
I hope he doesn't, though. I want this to slow burn. But if he did, I would not be mad. I
do think that belt needs to come off of Roman before they go to Roman Rock. I still think that doesn't need the belt. I can see why people think it should. I don't think it needs a belt. But I think we have some more Finn Roman stuff to get to at Extreme Rules following the show. This goes back to the Hangman Christian Omega thing, the same situation. You got 3 players here. I really don't want Finn to face Roman before SummerSlam. I want them to save that for Extreme Rules after SummerSlam. Tonight made me want it even more. Finn said exactly what we wanted. We wanted the Finn that was on NXT. He came up, he's like, I'm no more smiles. He did the gunpoint at Roman. He's that Finn. He's the prince from NXT.
So,
that character.
Do you think we're going to get Demon Finn when it's time for him to face Roman, or are we going to get regular Finn?
I think we're going to get regular Finn. I think we're going to get this regular NXT Finn that we had that was a champion. I don't know when he's going to pull the demon out again. I don't know. The thing is, the demon's supposed to be unbeatable, so like it's scary. What I want to happen, the only thing that I will be okay with happening is if Finn has to face Cena prior to SummerSlam. And because of a Baron Corbin or something, he loses to Cena again. So Finn has an opponent for SummerSlam. You can get past Cena Roman.
And then don't get me started on Baron Corbin.
And then you can get back to Finn and Roman after SummerSlam. That's the only thing that makes sense because I do not want to waste this match on a SmackDown, then get it at Extreme Rules next month. Give us Cena and Finn. That's something to give us a moment where it's believable that Finn had Cena beat. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to use Cena then.
Smart way to go about it.
Right? Because I loved everything about tonight with Finn and Roman. I loved him taking on both Usos by himself, that Roman had to come to the ring. They made Finn look strong. This is the Finn that won the Universal title in 2016, not the smiling Finn with the Intercontinental title. That was
he even said something about that in his promo. He's like, I'm not that Finn no more or something. You know, I ain't smiling. Like, I'm
Finn from NXT. This is the Prince that came back and was putting air guns to people.
And I know you were scared that he wasn't going to be the Prince and doing the air guns thing. I think last week on the show, you're like, is this it? He
came out smiling. I got worried. Don't smile.
Yeah. I feel like they listen to your show. They're like every week, man. Like this Justin guy.
They definitely listen. They were like, cut the smile. Justin said, cut the smile.
Cut the smile. No Cena on the show. Like.
And here we go. Now we're transitioning. Because does anyone else have anything to say about Roman, Cena, Finn? Are we good there?
I think
we're good there, right?
Okay,
go ahead.
I was thinking about this. You know how they had like a list of dates of John appearing for like SummerSlam, SmackDown, like all these events. Mm-hmm. What if it wasn't like a real list? What if they like really had him stay after SummerSlam and they just kind of like trolled us?
He said in an interview, which was a Hollywood interview, it wasn't a wrestling interview, that like he had a month free. so he decided to come back for this
Yeah,
month.
but he could be just saying that.
If I have a month free again, I know, but considering the movie schedule and what he said about the insurance situation, which is true, when you're working on a movie, the insurance companies don't want you to be wrestling because they want to own you for that period of time you're making a movie.
That's fair.
And if he's going to go film TV shows and movies, they're not going to want him wrestling. He got a free month because Suicide Squad coming out, because Fast 9's coming out, because that stuff's all recorded. Everything's filmed. He has another third movie that's coming out too or something. He's like, because that's all coming out and I had this free month, I want to make sure I came back to my family for this free month. And then he's like, I'm going to leave, but if I get a free month again, I want to come back again. But he's like, hopefully I can come back as the WWE champion after getting Roman, wink, wink, which is a way to tease that maybe he could still win. But this isn't Cena Hub. He's not going to win. That's it. John Cena's, hopefully next time he comes back, it'll be different. I don't know. That being said about them listening to the show, maybe they are listening to the show. And this is where Meka might disagree with me. And we did talk about it a little bit today in Clubhouse. I personally think, and I've said this for many weeks straight, I love it when Bianca wrestles. I'm happy she wrestled today. But for weeks, I felt like her promos were not hitting. Tonight, she came out there and she cut a hell of a fucking promo.
That was good.
Remember,
it was the perfect way to open the show.
Yeah, and I kept saying, listen, I love Sasha Banks. Sasha came out there. She looked smoking. Sasha, and I'm always very honest about this too. I always say Sasha's not the greatest promo. She's the greatest in the ring, but she is not the greatest promo. Sometimes she stumbles over her words. She has a poor grasp of the English language at times. And as much as she's supposed to be like this legit boss from the East Coast, she sounds like the legit boss that's hanging out with the coolest girls in the Valley. But I love that girl. That's my favorite women's wrestler, even though she hates me. And
come to death row. Come to death row, Justin.
There it is. Come to death row. That being said, I stay loyal. That being said, I think out of the three experiments, Rhea, Raquel, and Bianca, Bianca's been the most successful of the three.
Yeah.
Well, it started getting a little boring before Sasha came back. Am I wrong about that?
I feel like it's relative.
Wow. Okay.
I feel like it depends on what side of the fence you fall on.
Yeah.
If you're on the Justin side of the fence where Bianca pops your SmackDown every time, and when she's not there, it's well, it's me. Or I'm sorry, Sasha pops your SmackDown every time, and it's well, it's me when she's not there, like it has been. Justin's like, oh, this is okay, but I miss Sasha every week. I miss Sasha. If that's the side of the fence you're on, then yeah. And if you're on the side of the fence with me, who's like, she's the champion, let her do what she's doing. Let her build, let her talk, let her do whatever she's going to do. Because when Sasha was the champion and was complaining about the half-ass promo she was cutting in the ring, So, for me, it is relative, but I will say, I do love that Bianca gave her shit tonight for being gone and was like, oh yeah, what are you going to do? Leave for another 4 months?
But this is Bianca I felt like we were missing, where she had that edge and that cockiness. Because once again, I'm very vocal, but I did not watch her that much on NXT. I wasn't watching NXT weekly when she was on there. My first seeing her was around that Survivor Series when they did the invasion. Then it was the stuff when Charlotte went down there. You don't even go here, like that Bianca. And that Bianca to me had an edge and she had an attitude. And that's the attitude I kind of felt like. Listen, I love what she did with Bayley and I love Carmella.
No, it came back tonight. That Bianca was here tonight.
I love those feuds that she had with Bayley and Carmella because I think you need those feuds. She just won the belt. I'm so happy they didn't go right back to Sasha. Have some filler feuds to build Bianca up as a champion. I always love Bianca's wrestling. I love how powerful and strong she looks in that ring as a performer. But the promos lost the edge. And that's not on her. It's on the writers and the people that wanted to go out there and say this whole, I'm happy to be champion, just really happy. I miss that.
But I think, Justin, I think there's this glass ceiling, man. And especially in WWE, they want things done their way, right? And I know a lot of the times, there's so much great talent. And I've said this before. I tweeted this before. Guys like Karrion Kross, I'm sure they want to go out there and, really cut this passionate promo and tell a story. Malakai Black, he's all about telling stories. Yeah, and after he got released, he went on Twitch and he said all these crazy ideas, and it would have been so cool to see. But the creative team,
that would have been so good.
Exactly.
Just on Talk is Jericho. I'll plug it, even though Jericho's not paying me to do so. It was also a really good interview. We talked about ideas. So check Talk is Jericho with Alistair.
Right, and I feel like a lot of these professional wrestlers have these great ideas, but it just doesn't get past.
I know for sure, but I do feel like that attitude from Bianca came back tonight.
It did.
It was missing, and the reason why I'm so much more excited for Sasha Bianca too, because one was great. So with that, Daniel, I made you watch it 6 times. So one was great.
I'm sure you're gonna make me watch it again. So.
Before part 2, we'll probably watch it again. But one,
we're about to watch it.
Daniel probably remembers that match move for move, spot for
Bro,
spot.
I literally studied that match now. Like, I know what happens when like she hits the hair whip. I know when she presses her outside the ring. Like, I got it down.
But like the build up for that sucked. We all agreed on that.
We had no build up.
Like they never got them to have tension fast enough. They were friends for too long before that match happened.
Right.
This build up feels like what WrestleMania should have been. They were friends briefly. Now they're against each other. And the thing that I loved about Sasha's last title reign was because she got off that hot run with Bayley, she kept her attitude even though she was a babyface. She was still cocky, arrogant. I'm Sasha Banks. I'm the GOAT. Even though she was feuding heels like Carmella. Like,
right.
And I think if they can encapsulate that with Bianca, where she can be this babyface but have that fire she had tonight.
And I think that's the direction they're going. And I will also give Sasha her credit because everyone knows I do love Sasha. Not like I love Big Belt B, but Bianca she hits different for me. But Sasha coming back last week and the way that happened and how this is building off of that and how they are literally just at each other's necks right now. And then Zelina tries to come in and they're like, girl, we're not even talking to you. Like, what? Go away. This is personal. I love that. And I hope that they continue to invest in that because I agree that with the buildup, this match at SummerSlam can surpass our SB winning match at WrestleMania if they do the buildup right. And I love that for them. So I'm hoping,
There's the hard question. Who do you think goes over at SummerSlam now? That's
Sasha, easily.
For me, it's a battle between my head and my heart. I feel as though it would make sense if Bianca is going to drop it at SummerSlam to Sasha. But depending on how they're feeling about her being champion, her reception and all that, if they want her to have a long reign, then maybe not. Honestly, and I'm going to go on record saying this, and I love you, Bianca, beyond measure. But unfortunately, I think they are going to make her drop at SummerSlam. And that would hurt my heart. But if the consolation would be this, if she could drop, maintain that attitude, and get in Sasha's ass until they're ready to put the belt back on her and just be this like crazy, you don't go here, I'm kicking everybody's ass, I'm going to press you at every time, I'm on your ass type of Bianca, I think that would give a feud like we haven't seen in a while.
And that's a Bianca tonight.
Or my other mindset is Superstar Shakeup coming. If they split them and put Bianca on Raw, leave Charlotte on Raw, and let them go at it, that could be good too. So I'm not hating her dropping the belt because there's a lot of potential for her right now. I just want her to be champion forever, but I know it's not realistic. So I think they are going to make it drop.
Get a hell of a reign too. It's been since April. It's basically August now, so that's what, April, May, June, July, August. She's had a 5-month reign.
I hate to say this, but longer than all of my girl Naomi's reigns.
Exactly.
So I mean,
and I think I never even thought about the Superstar Shakeup thing because my mind was always Sasha wins it back at SummerSlam. Make Bianca that underdog again, and Bianca gets it back in the rubber matches. Now they're 1-1, right? You get that rubber match, and Bianca gets it back. But to your point, I really wouldn't mind. And then I also did this whole prediction last week where I said Sasha gets under Bianca's skin, saying it's a fluke, and then Bianca snaps even more, and we get a whole different Bianca. And then we go to Extreme Rules with a stipulation match where Bianca gets it back, whether she's whipping Sasha with a kendo stick.
Yeah.
But you brought up the Superstar Shakeup thing, and I wouldn't mind seeing Bianca go to Raw and feud Charlotte because I think that's the money match for next year's WrestleMania.
It would be.
Bianca
it would be amazing.
Wants to be all 4 horsewomen. She's done Bayley. She's done Sasha. Charlotte and Becky. But my only thing is I don't want to see. I kind of would like Bianca to win the belt back and stay on SmackDown. But I also don't want to see Sasha go to Raw, so I don't know.
Right.
I feel like the money we're talking about matches, doing a little fantasy booking here, I feel like the money match for Dallas, Texas for WrestleMania is Becky Lynch versus Bianca. And, I feel like Becky would come and she'd be like, I demand a title shot, blah, blah, blah. I'm the man. And
I'm
then
the man.
Yeah, and then Bianca comes out. She's like, I've been holding this place down ever since you left. You know what I mean? And they can build off that, and it would be something different. And that would give Sasha a little room to feud with someone else, possibly Io Shirai if she's getting called up. Who knows, right? And I think with the women right now, there's something special because Dakota Kai is doing something. Everyone has something, and it's so cool to see that in 2021.
And I've talked about it many times on here. We're in a place right now, oddly enough, where there's all these new women coming up, Bianca, Rhea, Dakota, all these guys. But there is a good stable of women on the top.
There's a huge crop of women.
Sasha,
man.
Charlotte, Becky, and Bayley are untouchable. Like, just literally untouchable. Naomi and Natalya are like veterans up there that have been there for even longer than those girls and are like credible names. Carmella is one of those people, like, she's this oddball. Carmella, Alexa, and those are two I put in the same category where there's the kind of oddballs doing their thing, but they're both former women's champions that if you beat them, it makes sense.
They're established. They're established to the point.
Established stack of women up there.
Yeah, 100%.
That are all good for these women to go through, and we're seeing it right now. We've seen Carmella be using that position. We've seen Bayley been using that position. Charlotte's trying to elevate people. I forgot Asuka. That's another one. Like, there's a whole stack of women up there. Natalya, Naomi, all former women's champions. Every single one of those women have been champions, and they're credible names that are able to elevate this talent. So, and there's no Carmella on SmackDown tonight, so I was very sad about that as well. That's my girl. Love you, Carmella. I feel like I do this every week. Lastly, but not least, super excited for Edge and Seth Rollins. Everything they're doing has been tremendous. The promos back and forth has been tremendous. We always look forward to seeing what Seth Rollins is wearing every week. Shout out to Troy. We're always looking forward to see what Seth Rollins is wearing. And I like just keeping them away from each other this week. Keep them away from each other. Start building it up, because Edge made a good point. Like, if you were here, I would have killed you. So, like, oh, that's smart booking. I don't know how much control Edge has on that, but that's dope. Is there anything else you guys want to say about that?
I think sorry, Meka, if you want, let me just, you good? But no, I love how they're bringing out past stuff. In WWE, when they do storylines with someone they already had a one-off with or something, they don't like looking back on it, right? So I think going back, revisiting history with Edge and Rollins is pretty cool. And I know a lot of people compare Rollins to Edge, so I love how they're embracing that and calling Rollins Edge Light or whatever they call them. But it's cool to see stuff like that happen. Yeah.
How do you
no, I enjoyed it. There's so many people that complain about Edge being back, but I think this is why. I think they complain about Edge being back when he's in a title chasing position. But I enjoy him being back just working. He's good. He's just working, and what he's doing is working, and I'm enjoying him right now. So I like this with them. Eventually, I think we got to have a drip versus drip match with Morrison and Rollins, but I think Rollins would kill that man. He's not the Johnny Drip that he thinks he is. But I'm loving Edge. I said what I said, and I do love John Morrison, but the drip definitely goes to Seth Rollins.
Rollins dress is good.
But I think Baron Corbin's got the best drip right now.
Baron Corbin, that gimmick is making me so sad. Every time because it's going over. Bum ass Baron Corbin. It is going over, and I hate that for him. Because it is working, and he doesn't even come out to music. He just walks out. The shirt was disheveled. He doesn't wrestle in his wrestling attire anymore. He just shows up, and it's like,
this is the most.
Somebody get that man $1.
Like, the most I've liked Baron Corbin since 2016 when he was on NXT. The most I've liked. This is the best thing he's done. I love every second.
It is. It's
shows his range. He's changed. He's doing something different in his short span he's been in the company, and that's something John Cena can't say he's done since 2006. Now,
anyway, I do want to shout out Montez Ford. Loved seeing him back in action, and if you get the chance, Go and look at the height on that freaking frog splash he got. Amazing. His athleticism is top tier. I love seeing him on my TV. I'm glad he was back. And of course I love the Dirty Dogs too.
Yeah,
so it was just a good match, but it was just good seeing Tez back and
I know Daniel's really hyped about this, but I could watch Montez and Ziggler wrestle each other in a 2 or 3.
You know what's so weird? Like, no, 100%. You know what's so weird? Ziggler's the same age as Randy Orton, and it feels so like man, he's been there for a long time.
I think we just always assume Orton's older because he started way earlier in 2002 in the WWE.
That's true.
And we've been seeing him longer. Forever. Yeah, we've been seeing Orton on our TVs forever.
2009, I think Ziggler showed up. Like, Orton's been there since I was like in grade 7. Like, even before that, actually, like grade 6, 7. That's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna make this real quick. We're not gonna talk about a lot, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Mr. Matt Cardona, sir. We had a little bit of banter about my figure article that I wrote for 1:37 p.m. You went on the Major Figure Wrestling podcast with you and Brian Myers, aka Kurt Hawkins, and you guys broke down the list and why I was very inaccurate. I appreciate the publicity. I appreciate you guys using my work as content. I reached out to you prior to writing the article, not for you to do the work for me, as you tried to claim that, I thought he was asking me to do the work for me. Like, I didn't say it to him, but I was like, I'm not going to do the work for you. I asked you very simply, hey, bro, do you know any off the top of your head? Because, you're the Michael Jordan of figure collecting. And 2, where would I look if I need to find this information? Like, where would I look for research? And you sent me one of your videos. You didn't, and to quote, I'll even read it. You said all these articles are BS. You said all these articles are BS, and you're asking me a very loaded question right now because prices are always changing. I agreed with you. I'm happy that we had this back and forth after Gary V retweeted it, and you came to Gary V and you said this is the most inaccurate thing ever because he added you to the tweet, and then Gary V's like, take it up with the Wrestling Classic, and I mentioned how I talked to you beforehand, and you said that you're very thankful when anybody talks about anything to do with that community and puts a spotlight on it, but this list is completely wrong. We've talked earlier today why I out of respect of being your fan and watching you for so many years, like, are you okay if I post about this on my page today and maybe come on my show in the future and we can revisit it? You were very pleasant about it, and you told me that you just had to, I forget the word, but like debunk this article or whatever. And that's cool. We're going to work on fixing it up, but I just want you to know I never expected you to do the work for me. You're not the only person I reached out to. I reached out to Chick Foley, JB Toys, and a whole bunch of other people in the community. I just figured you being the Michael Jordan of the community, you might have been gracious enough to point me in the right direction of like, hey, don't only look on eBay. Those words never came out of your mouth, but they came out of your mouth on the podcast. Hey, maybe you don't look at things that have been sitting on eBay for a very long time at high prices that no one is buying. Those words never came out of your mouth when I asked you about the article beforehand, but they came out of your mouth on the podcast. All I'm saying is, there's a lot of miscommunication and a lot of very kind back and forth. There's no hard feelings. I like the publicity. We're probably getting clicks on that article now. Is it wrong? Probably. I'm not a figure
collector. Don't work yourself into a shoot, brother.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
a figure collector.
Say.
I'm not a figure collector. It's not my wheelhouse. I write opinion pieces. I was asked to write this. You guys both agreed that's a very hard task for someone that's not in the community. And it was. So that's all I got to say about that. I like the broski. We're cool with each other. Hopefully nothing I said here offends him. I mean, he went from saying, I love the Wrestling Classic. He came and reached out to me ahead of time, to the end calling me a Joe Schmo. I don't know whose foot's in whose mouth. But that all being said, fuck the article. Read it if you read it. Don't read it if you don't read it. I think it's cool that we try to put something together. Maybe it isn't the 15 rarest and most expensive toys on the market today, but it's some of the most expensive toys that are online today, which probably shouldn't be that expensive. And you guys should read it and be like, that should not be as expensive as it is made on eBay or wherever I found it. Because everything on that list was going for those prices on the internet right now. I don't know why. I'm not a part of that community. Maybe they're the wrong prices. And now you guys should know, whether you're a figure collector or not a figure collector, if you're about to pay that price for those toys, don't, because I wrote about it and Matt Cardona and Brian Myers and Mark Sterling took that list and said, hey, you guys shouldn't be paying prices like this for these toys. So go listen. You guys helped my people out. I appreciate it. Guys, go check out the Major Figure Wrestling Podcast. I actually really enjoy it, especially when they do their Figure Federation stuff. Matt Cardona runs one show and Brian Myers runs one show, and they fantasy book with the action figures they drafted, and they actually do a figure photography each week. It was actually really fun to follow along with. Check them out. No hate for the broski. I just want to address it from my side. At no point did I ever want you to do the work for me. I wasn't looking for the easy way out of writing this article. To be honest with you, I didn't even know what to look for, and I tried my hardest just to see what was the most expensive stuff online, and read some other articles. But as you said, all the rest of the articles are BS, and my article's BS, so I don't know if you'd be satisfied with any article unless you wrote it yourself. That being said, I'm not going to keep rambling on. Meka, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? When I find myself. I am on Instagram. My Instagram is lavish_Lene. Twitter, which is a hot mess. I am at, what is my Twitter? Meek the Mage. So MEEKTHAMAGE. Also, you can find me in Discord. You can find me on Clubhouse. You can find me on Google. You need to hit me up. You want to ask me anything, pick my brain about anything. I know Justin wants me to be on here a little more often, so you may be seeing my face, hearing my voice a little more often. But I'm accessible to everybody, so hit me up if you find me.
I just think because we've talked often, I really do like. I had Nikki on here last week. I had you on here, Santana, Kenneth. Like, there's a whole group of people that we talk to regularly through Clubhouse and Discord, and I really do appreciate you guys' opinions. And sometimes we'll have conversations on Clubhouse, and like, fuck, I wish this was on the podcast. You know what I mean? And I've said that so many times, like, if not out loud in my head, like, oh, Mika's going on a rant about something, and I really wish I was on the podcast. That's quality content. And I know I've said that to you.
Yeah, like, you have.
What you just said needs to be put out there for the people to listen, because people agree with you. I have very unpopular opinions sometimes. Not all the time, but the whole John Cena thing. As people that dislike me about it for it, there's a lot of people that agree with me for it. And they appreciate that I'm putting it out there. Because they can find, like, you know what? That's not what a lot of people feel, but I agree with you. And you have the opportunity to do that. And I think you have a great voice for that. And you do have strong opinions. And there's so many things we could do. Also, the fact that we go back and watch a lot of old school stuff, like, we could just be doing that stuff, because there's a whole bunch of years. I always talk about my dark years being 2007, 2011. You had a whole plethora of dark years that you're catching up on right now. Like, you are catching up on Raw from like 2012. And
I'm in 2012 right now, and it's rough. Yeah. I have seen some stuff, and I was like,
we could do a whole like bonus episode just for the patrons, just talking about your experience watching 2012 Raw. I think you have a great voice for podcasting. If anyone's listening to this and you want to hear Meka do more, or you want me to have her back on the show, let me know, because I think there's two things I love having is different perspectives and opinions. I love that. I love having a good debate. And I know there is a lot more nowadays. But give it. When I started my page in 2014, like 5-6 years ago, there wasn't enough female perspectives of professional wrestling, and not enough that people were giving credibility to. I think now there's a whole community of it. Shout out to TK Trinidad and the people at AfterBuzz, and a bunch of other people too, Queen of the Ring and other people that
absolutely
voices out there. But I'm just saying, like, I love having a female perspective, because like me and Daniel can sit here and talk about things from a male perspective forever, but we're really visual characters. I'll be sitting here saying Carmella's hot, but you might look at it at a different perspective. Love you, Carmella. You're my girl.
Yeah, the rants that I have saved up, you guys haven't got anything about. So Zelina Vega, y'all haven't heard. Drew McIntyre. They haven't heard any of some of my golden content. You guys haven't even gotten the uncut raw about Ember Moon. I gave you guys the professional version. I will say that.
You're very professional. I'm very shocked. This is the wrestling classic, but
it's my first time. I can't come kick the door in. Like, I'm here.
Not yet, Justin. Not yet.
But if you bring me back and you guys like this, then
I mean, Drew McIntyre came to a ring with a sword today. That's a whole different topic. I mean, on Raw, he used a sword as a weapon in a professional.
Okay, and I'll put a whole bunch of videos on the internet of crabs picking up knives and forks. So what? What are we talking about? I'm still bored.
Who brings a sword to a wrestling match?
A dish towel, because you're boring. You're boring.
Uh,
You don't want to be the bathroom segment anymore. So you had to bring a dangerous weapon and wield it so that people would stay in their seats and not go pee and get popcorn and walk the dog while you're on the TV.
You're supposed to be the top baby face and you're defending yourself with a goddamn sword. Daniel, where can people find you?
Dropkick Pod on Instagram and Danial and Made on Instagram. I don't know when I'm gonna drop an interview. It's been busy, but I just wanted to quickly congratulate you on getting the Gary Vee interview. I know you wanted to do this for a long time. I already watched it. It's really good, and I think not a lot of people get these opportunities, so you should be happy, and I can't wait to see what's next for you, man. So,
thank you very much.
Cheers
guys.
to that.
If you are a Patreon user, you can sign up to the Patreon as those $2. I am in. It is a collaborative Patreon with Rain City Toys. You get discounts on toys and all the first news on toys before it comes out. Sometimes even before ringside news and stuff like that as well. So not ringside news, ringside collectibles. But follow the Patreon as those $2, and you can watch the Gary Vee interview. It's already available to you guys. For everyone else, it will be coming out, I think, next week. I'm shooting for next week because I think a lot of people are anticipating it, and I want to strike while the iron's hot, so I'm probably going to drop it next week. We dropped the Bianca Corelli one with Santino Morella's daughter this week. If you haven't checked it out, please go check it out. It's
so good.
And I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. Jump on the bandwagon before it's called a bandwagon. Like, get on the Bianca Corelli train before it takes off, and then everyone starts calling you bandwagoners because she's going to do some big things. She's got her dad's fire. And she's passionate about this shit, and she's super cool. So check that out. Check out the interview with JTG. Miko's a big part of that happening. Check out all the interviews I've done on the TWC, the Wrestling Classic YouTube channel. If you follow me on Instagram, click the link in my bio. The links to everything there. We're gonna wrap this up. I will see you all next week, and read my articles, even the ones on toys, because supposedly they're really good. Ooh, yeah, dig it. Thank you,
man.
It was a good one.